I'm at Place de la République in Paris, and it's in this area that Paris's TCG stores are located. We're gonna see if we can find some good Pokemon cards. Because it's France, the TCG is translated. I'm not particularly interested in French cards, but hopefully there will be plenty of English and Japanese too. Or otherwise, at least, we'll be able to check out some cool shops. I'm gonna try to buy something in every store. We'll see how we do. First store I'm visiting is Atmos Arena. And I'm doing this as a voiceover because the noise was brutal and it was very, very busy. They had a nice selection of French and Japanese. Wasn't the biggest store. As you can see, nice amount of slabs, some sealed product. And they mainly focused on all kinds of sealed TCG. And all the sealed is almost exclusively in French. There's a little bit of Chinese here and there. This was definitely my favorite case. It had some vintage Japanese. I checked out this Gyarados, which was labeled as mint, but wasn't fully mint. And the Carte cards, I checked out all of them. But sadly, also, none of them were clean enough to consider grading. I'm a big fan of these Japanese vintage cards like Carte and Top Sun. So I'm always on the lookout for those. Yeah. Mewtwo. I think I also checked out the Articunos. Some Chinese cards. What was cool about this store is that they had a huge section in the back of the store to play the actual TCG, but it was closed off right now. I think they only open it for events. Yeah, and they had a lot of Ace slabs. I'm not a fan of Ace. I guess it's a way to stand out, but not really my cup of tea. Yeah, and then the other section of the store, they had sealed for all kinds of TCGs. Magic, One Piece, Lorcana, Yu-Gi-Oh! And some more singles and slabs. And I'll show you later what I picked up here. I did manage to find a good pickup. And, well, I'll also show you a little bit of street audio at the next store to see what I am saving you guys from. I had a nice raise, but I think these were Chinese. And very overpriced. Nice, right? Nice amount of noise. This next store is Cartabaffe. It was in a very cool area. And I also really like this store. This was one of my 2 favorite stores that I visited. They had a big selection. All kinds of vintage cards. As you can see, the Espeon, but also Carte, Top Sun. I checked out a bunch of these cards. And I managed to do quite a few good pickups here. But in general, I just like their selection. Korokoro Mewtwo. The reverse Neozard. And they've got all kinds of sealed ass stuff at the bottom. And then one more Top Sun, the Venusaur. Which I did check out, but obviously... Or well, unfortunately, wasn't very clean. And here they had some sealed base set packs. What's interesting is that they had 2 Dutch ones. So I haven't seen these in forever. These are the packs I used to buy as a kid. And they had 2 here. I'm not sure how they ended up in a shop in France, but you know, you can assume that they're light. And for 500 euros, that's... yeah, not a pickup I'm looking to make. Original Umbreon in English. That's some sealed product. Not that much. It was mainly singles and slabs here. And a lot of it was in French. I love these, the black-white Evolution promo set. But yeah, I'm not a French collector, so didn't pick them up or even look at them. But they do have a nice mix. I was a little bit afraid there was going to be only French cards. But most stores have a good selection of Japanese. And sometimes a little bit of English. Some more vintage stuff. Yeah, it's mainly wall-to-wall. So they have one of these walls fully French and one of them fully Japanese. Definitely a store I would recommend checking out. I'm here at Fuji store. I was already here briefly last night, but it was almost closing and very, very busy. So I came back early, and it's a very cool store. It has a lot of Japanese. So let me show you the inside. I'm inside the store, and as you can see, it's pretty big. It's got a lot of singles, huge amount of cabinets, sealed product. And I think this entire right side is all Japanese cards. All modern. I'll zoom in on a few in a second. Here we're getting to some older stuff. E-series. Nicely sorted by type. I love this Espion. It's one of the first unique Espion artworks. I think it never came out in English. Original Moonbrion. And this Eevee as well. Also a unique artwork. Okay, I'm definitely going to be checking a lot of stuff out here. One thing that I've really noticed in France is that there's a lot of love for the old vintage stuff. So in the Netherlands you never see any Cartabaffe or Tapsan. Maybe a little bit at like a big convention, but never in stores. And it's kind of everywhere here. And this is the stuff that I'm mainly interested in. I'm master setting all of these with the long-term goal of wanting a PSA 10 master set. So yeah, definitely gonna be checking a lot of these out. And they are nicely pre-graded. So you can see some like this Cedra. You can see it's pre-graded as mint. And obviously these are pretty high prices for Cartabaffe, but if the pre-grading is correct, then, you know, it's still worth it. A little bit of English, but mainly Japanese. And here in the middle of the store there's a few more cabinets. So this is very modern. This is all the Mega Symphonia, Mega Brave. Some more sealed display cases here. Some blisters. A couple of slabs. But there's a lot more singles than slabs. And then this entire side, I believe, is fully French. So, not a lot of English, but a lot of Japanese, so that's still great for us. And just some plushies and stuff. I think this is my favorite shop I've been in so far. It's just a huge selection. It's a nice vibe, it's clean, it's spacious. So yeah, gonna be checking a few things out, and I'll show you the haul after. This shop was very close to the main square, called Cards and Games. I forgot to shoot outside of the shop. It was also a very busy street with a lot of car traffic. So street view it is. It definitely felt more old school, even though I think I checked on Google and the shop's only been there for like 2 years. But it has that very kind of old school TCG store vibe, like it's been there for decades. And they had a pretty good selection, a lot of interesting stuff for sure. Here you see the Hanafuda cards, a lot of E-series, but the pricing was very, very off in my opinion. I think a lot of the condition of the cards was not very good, and prices were really high. It was only a small shop, and the lady that worked there was very friendly. I checked out like 50 Cartes cards and a bunch of singles. Here they have a slab counter. They did have a couple ponchos. No real sealed. Here behind the cash register lady, you can see all the Cartes. Some megas. They had a bunch of gold stars too. I basically checked whatever I could, but I don't know. Just the price versus quality was not there. Not for grading, but also not for like a fun casual pickup. I did do a purchase here. I'll show it to you guys later. It was a little bit overpriced still, but oh well. I wanted to bring something home. Yeah, I checked out this Reggie Ice, but the back was completely gone. So yeah, definitely not worth that price point. I don't know. It was a fun shop to visit. And it's very close to all the other shops. So if you're in the area, you might as well just pop in. But yeah, from a value point of view, it wasn't really there. Final shop was Joe Carte, but they were doing a remodel. And from what I can tell, all the cards were French. So yeah, basically skip this one. Okay, so let's dive into the haul. At the first shop I visited, I believe it was Atmos Arena. I got this Masaki slab. It's the Omastar Hollow, only in a 4, but still it's a Masaki promo. They're always super cool cards, and based on the last sold prices I could see, this was actually a reasonably good deal. I've never owned this card before. I'm not 100% sure if I plan on keeping it or if I might sell it at some point. We'll see. But yeah, this is my only pickup from there. I'm very happy with it. Just as a little bit of reference, usually the European prices are just the dollar amount becomes the euro amount, sadly. So if you're trying to compare prices, then don't bother exchanging currencies. Stuff is just more expensive over here. Yep, so that was that. Then the second store I visited was Cartabaffe, and I've moved over some cards to my own sleeves. So I've kept the price tags. I got this XY Mew Hollow promo, and they said that the condition was excellent minus, but I don't know. I think it's in pretty good condition. There's not that much here. If you can see, there's a small spot on the bottom corner. But the front is pretty good. And these promos are quite sought after, so I figured that this kind of €40 price point was a good pickup. Again, not really a card that's up my normal alley, but I thought it was a fun pickup. And let's see, same for this one. It's the Umbreon Energy, the Dark Energy with the Umbreon on it in the back. From Hard Gold, Soul Silver. In excellent condition for 25. Also, well, that's reasonably at market, I think. But again, just a fun pickup. Then I managed to get 2 Top Sun cards. So I'm a big fan of this old Japanese vintage stuff, right? So I'll show you. These are both greenbacks. So this set came in cards that had a blue back. Those were the first ones. And then greenbacks. And these are both greenbacks. So, you know, in modern times we would call this the reprint or the second print run. They're in very good condition. So I got this Ninetales for $20. It's near mint. So that's a little bit overpriced. But, you know, they're typically you only find them in Japan or you have to go online. And this card is super clean. Like the only thing wrong with it is the centering. It's a little top heavy, as you can see. I'm gonna check it when I get home to see if it's like within potential PSA 10 range. Just eyeballing it, it isn't, right? This is might have been inside the old 60-40, barely, but it's definitely not within 55-45. But we'll see. It might be a card that I send in just for fun, just to see how it does, because I do feel like it's a surefire 9. But yeah, I wanted to pick that one up. And it's kind of the same for the Nidoking. So this one is bottom heavy instead of top heavy. It's a little bit less, well, noticeable. I think the margins are a little better than on the Ninetales. And it's also green back, and the back is super clean. And I got this for 15. So yeah, let's see. Then the final pickup from Cartabaffe is this vending series Haunter. I think the vending series cards are always very, very cool. And this Haunter specifically, this art style is just really cool, and it's a super clean card. The margins, I think, well, this might be within the range of a 10. You can see it's a touch top heavy, but this might be okay actually. And the back looks nice, also a touch top heavy. And I got this for 80 bucks, which is kind of around market for something in this state, or well, probably a bit over market, but I think this will at least get an 8 or a 9, and then, you know, taking grading costs into account, I believe it's in the money. So yeah. Then at Cards and Games, I believe the shop was called, I picked up this Pidgey card. This is from the Hanafuda deck, which are the very small decks of traditional Japanese playing cards, and they did the Pokemon version. There's 2 sets, I believe, a 2013 one, and this one belongs to that, obviously, in 2016, which I think has the Mario crossovers as well. This is brutally overpriced, right? So they had about 12 of these cards in the shop. They were all priced at 110 euros, and I just checked most of them, and some of them had a market value of like 35 or 40 bucks. This one got closest to this price tag at, I believe, around 70 bucks. So this is more than 50% over market, which is insane. But I spent a lot of time in the shop. The lady that worked there was super kind to me. I checked out like 50 Cardes cards, and I just wanted to get something. I think these cards are super cool. I've never owned one before. So I thought, well, all right, that's just me supporting the shop then, I guess. And I'll bite the bullet. So I'm happy with the pickup still. Other than that, the shop wasn't very good. Like, they had very, very limited selection, and what they had was well, no, the selection was fine, but it was overpriced and in poor condition. That's a better way of putting it. So yeah, that's that. Then at the last store, which is my favorite, Fuji store, I picked up this slab, the Dark Venusaur Trainer Magazine in a 9. This was a little bit below market, so just felt like a good pickup. Again, not really up my usual alley, but it's a Venusaur. It's vintage, it's in a 9, so can't really go wrong. And then I picked up a bunch of singles there. I re-sleeved a bunch again as well, so let me organize this a little bit. Picked up the OG Moonbryon for 180. It's in pretty good condition. They labeled it an excellent, which, well, is fair. It might even be excellent plus. It's got a little dink on the bottom here. Otherwise, it's pretty near mint. Margins are also okay. It's bottom heavy for sure, but it's not to the degree that it looks super ugly. So yeah, I'll probably get this graded. I think this can get an 8, and that puts it at a pretty good deal if that works out. So yeah, let's see. I got a bunch of Cardes cards from this shop. I got 3 cards that were let me see. So this is all the labels are in French. I think this is Hypno. These were all labeled as mint, so they had nice pre-grading. And I basically, there were 4 Carte cards labeled as mint, and one had a tiny dink, so I passed on that one. And I picked up the other ones, and it's tricky to get these in super clean condition. And I'm always looking for these cards in a 10 or with 10 potential. So again, this is grossly overpriced for Carte cards. Like cards like this are usually like $3 to $5, especially like just the normal kind of common cards. But hey, they did the work, and it's in good condition. So I was happy to pick it up and to support the shop. Same here, got the Diglett, was also mint condition, also really nice. And the Cedra. And it's always this little bar on the back. Like, this is super sensitive to whitening. So most of the cards, they always have a spot of whitening here on this little green or red bar. But these were all super clean. So very happy with that. I got a couple more that are essentially binder copies. Again, overpaid like mad for them. But, you know, the store was super cool, and sometimes you just want to support these kind of local stores. So these are all varying conditions, right? It didn't really matter because these are binder copies for me. I bought out a couple collections, and then either I didn't like the copies I got for those, so they were either too poor quality or they were good enough to send into PSA, which means that the binder slots were empty. So these were 3 that I still needed. I think I need like 3 more now, and then I'm done with my Carte binder. So it's the green Voltaire and the red Grimer and Marowak. So yeah, really happy with that. And that was definitely my biggest pickup, what I got at Fuji store. And again, I think it's was my favorite store from the trip. So I got the 6 Carte cards and the Umbreon and the Venusaur. Really nice pickup. And then the Cartabaffe, I got the Vending Series Haunter, the 2 Top Sun cards, the Umbreon Energy, the Mew promo, also really nice. And then from Atmos, I got the Masaki promo. And from Cards and Games, I got the Hanafuda. So it is really cool to see that they have a lot of Japanese, like crazy vintage stuff going on in France. And we get less of it in the Netherlands, and I do like it a lot. And then from the last store, I didn't pick up anything. So yeah, that's the haul. I was only in Paris for, 1 full day. I spent most of it visiting Pokemon shops. So I hope you liked it, and see you next time.